It's Thursday, August 8th, and I'm your host, Paula Hersey. On today's show, we learn more about recently completed and upcoming projects from the Planning and Development Department and meet two members of the Disability Commission and gain insight into their important work. Now for a look at municipal and legislative notes. The groundbreaking yesterday, August 7th, the Department of Public Works held the official groundbreaking ceremony for the Mahar Filtration Plant project. Gary Moran, Deputy Commissioner of Operations, Mass DEP, joined Town Councilors James Crocker, John Flores, Paul Hebert, Matthew Levesque, and Paul Neary, Town Manager Mark Ells, DPW Director Dan Santos, Hyannis Water System Supervisor Hans Kaiser, as well as members of the Hyannis Water Board, Stephen O'Neill, Chair, and Harold Toby and Mark Sexton, and Hyannis Water System staff, and representatives from Suez, Tata, and Howard, and Waterlane Industries for the event. Stay tuned to Channel 18 next week for coverage and interviews for the groundbreaking. From the commercial corridor of Route 132 to the east end of Hyannis and out to the villages, we have an update from the Planning and Development Department on economic development and housing projects around the town of Barnstable. Economic development happens all over the town of Barnstable. With me today, Mike Travato, Economic Development Specialist. Mike, there's like projects everywhere, some in the permitting stage, some in the completion stage, and things in between. We're going to take a walk around town, and how about you telling us kind of what's happening, maybe starting with the commercial areas?
Sure. Lots going on, as you said, Paula. Starting with right on Route 132, one of our bigger projects that's been ongoing for a while, as people can see as they drive by there, is the Cape Cod 5 Operations Center, which they're anticipating occupancy late this year. That's going to include 200 new employees being moved into that facility, which is pretty excited about that situation.
Yeah.
Anyone who drives by the mall sees that that's under major renovations as well.
Right.
And Target being the #1 prospect that's going in there,
Right.
among others that is going in there. They're going to see a lot of great changes for the mall.
Yeah.
And if you skip across the street, the news just came out that the town just signed a new land lease with WS Development for the Kmart Plaza. Cape Town Plaza is what it's officially known as,
Right.
but it will be known as the landing at Hyannis going forward once that project gets developed by WS.
Okay.
WS is a renowned developer, and they've done projects like Legacy Place and Derby Street up in Hingham.
Yeah.
And we're pretty excited about the long-term prospects for that as a lifestyle center development with that developer.
Right.
So.
Why don't we just back up a little here? So, you know, Route 132 has been the retail corridor for 30-something years now in the town of Barnstable. What's the significance of kind of upgrading that? It's been an aging corridor, you know, starting with this very large bank. You know, Cape Cod 5 is one of the larger regional banks out there that has grown exponentially over the years. They chose Barnstable for their new headquarters. You know, what significance of that is in economic development?
Sure. Well, Hyannis is the hub of Cape Cod in a lot of ways,
Right.
specifically as it relates to economic development. We really are centrally located, and we actually have the ability to attract these kind of businesses here, both regional banks and national retailers,
Right.
and everything in between. The great thing about the Cape Cod 5 project is that it's happening out in a section of 132 that we're now referring to as the financial district, because organically that's growing in that regard. And I think it's because of its access to Exit 6 off Route 6, so clients can come regionally to those financial institutions and get easy access to that. Further down on 132, it's always that area has been known more as a retail corridor with our 4 major shopping centers there, and as I said, we can attract national tenants into that. So that area of Hyannis, from a retail perspective, is more for the bigger stores. Not to say
Right.
that's strictly, but
Right.
that it tends to draw on a regional basis, as opposed to downtown, which can draw more mom and pop type businesses with that walking type environment that smaller businesses want to have.
Right. Now let's go back to a term that you used. I'm not sure everybody is familiar with it. A lifestyle center. Give us an indication of what that kind of means.
Sure. So a lifestyle center is more than just a strip mall.
Okay.
More than just a shopping plaza. The traditional 70s model is long gone now. And so lifestyle center is more where they would encompass within the campus of that facility, of that area. Not only retail, restaurants, other type of amenities for people to bring them there. Personal services, but also maybe some outdoor attractions that the facility might be able to attract in there. Whether it's music related, things like yoga, public amenities included in that. So not just a bunch of parking spaces.
Right. Well, I know I'm familiar with Derby Street, and there's outdoor places that you can eat, and there's things that you can do. I think there's actually in one section there's a small little playground that people can use. Burn off some of that energy for the kids in the back to school shopping.
Exactly. And WS has some good visions for what they want to see happen in that area. So as that project gets developed, I think you're going to see much more inviting environment than you see what it is currently when it's nothing but hot tubs
Right.
and parking spaces. So.
Excellent. And we're still on Route 132.
Right.
Independence Park
Yep.
has been growing by leaps and bounds.
Sure. Commercially speaking, obviously that is our industrial park. It has been since the 60s. Kit Kat Potato Chips is one of our bigger employers in town, especially for manufacturing. Obviously, it's a very iconic business as well. And the thing that they are most known for locally here is their visitor tours. And so they spent some good money in totally renovating that facility to enhance the experience for visitors to come in, to watch the potato chips in action. As most people know, if you turn around the back of a potato chip bag from Kit Kat Potato Chips, you'll see the factory right there with the map and everything on how to get there. They bring in somewhere around 240,000 visitors a year into that facility.
Wow.
And it was recently purchased by Campbell Soup, and they wanted to really enhance this particular tour experience. So.
Fantastic. Downtown Hyannis, my love. There's so many cool shops, awesome restaurants, things to do. What's going on downtown?
Sure. Downtown's pretty dynamic this time of year, as you know. But on the periphery of downtown, we have an exciting project that was just completed, which is over on Yarmouth Road, south of 28, and it's a dermatology center. That one has just been completed and really has enhanced that particular neighborhood, and sort of a rising tide situation we anticipate happening in that area with that. Most of the other development we see downtown will be residential.
Yeah.
We're seeing some mixed use, good mixed use project that we're seeing underway right now is the 255 Main, which is the old Furman building right across from the train station. That's a Cape built development. That's going to be commercially on the first floor, about 4,000 square feet, with 10 residential units up above. So it's that mixed use top of shop housing that we're really trying to get as infill for downtown. Cape Built is also the ones that residentially are going to be developing the project on Pleasant Street, known as Sea Captain's Row. That's going to be a pocket neighborhood where this neighborhood had been run down. A lot of parking lots for ferry purposes. Now it's going to be redeveloped, and that's underway right now. with Cape built, and that's going to be 60 residential units, market rate rentals.
Wow, 60, huh?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We all know that we need housing, but I have to tell you that we need dermatology services on Cape
Absolutely.
Cod as well. So
Absolutely.
that's a welcome thing for
Absolutely.
sun lovers that have realized that we should have used sunscreen when we were 10.
Exactly.
You've got some village stuff too.
Sure. Osterville,
Yeah.
very exciting project, which you're well aware of. Amy Bakery.
Right.
Amy took a rundown garage and did a demo rebuild of that property, and has built a beautiful state-of-the-art bakery and a cooking school attached to it as well. That is on the outskirts of downtown Osterville Center, and I think it's really been an incredible enhancement to that area. We also
Got to try the donuts.
We also have a few projects that are in the permitting process. They have not been approved yet that I would like to make note of. Joe Laham is looking to do a car wash, as a lot of people are aware of. I originally looked at North Street and is now looking at as well as Yarmouth Road to see if the project could work in that area. So he's going through the process now, but this again not having been approved yet. But that's one project that's happening, and that's end of town. If you go over to Beerus's Way, there's a proposal to put a tractor supply company on Beerus's Way. That Tractor Supply is probably one of the largest growing national chains in the country from a retail perspective. Would be a welcome addition if, again, assuming approval.
Right.
These aren't approved yet. And then also at the Staples Plaza, where Mitchell's restaurant used to be with the VFW, there's a proposal to build a Walgreens and a Dunkin' Donuts, and a third building, which it hasn't been named yet as to who the occupant would be of that. Again, this is in a permitting process, not approved at this point.
Right. Well, you need a Dunkin' Donuts on every corner.
We do live in New England.
We do live in New England, right? We run on Dunkin'.
We need our Dunkies, absolutely.
Awesome. And with all of this new retail, we're going to have an influx of employees and things that are happening in our office buildings. Housing, always probably one of the hottest topics we have, not just in the town of Barnstable, but the entire region. What's going on for housing in Barnstable?
Sure. Housing is critical to economic development, and right now we're going through a housing crisis. It certainly is inhibiting a lot of things as far as potential development and businesses locating here, because you need to house your employees, and so that's a challenge that we face, and we're really trying to encourage all sorts of mixed type developments, everything from single family detached to multifamily, trying to get more creative with this process and look more about more creative forms for housing. I mentioned the Sea Captain's Row project, which is going to be downtown in development, in construction right now, as along with 255 Main. That's 70 units right there between the two of those. Out on Ridgewood, there's two projects that have been approved. One is done. The other has not been constructed yet. One is owned by Housing Assistance Corp., which will be a mix of affordable and market rate rentals. Another project was another 8 units, residential units for rent at market rate on the other end of Ridgewood Ave. And then out in the industrial park, people who drive through there will see a big change with residentially speaking, most notably the Everly Cape Cod project, which is now, actually our grand opening is happening. I don't know what our calendar date is today,
Right.
but is about to happen, and that's 230 units for active adults, 55 plus community, which there's a demand for that as well. So we're trying to hit both ends of the spectrum there as it relates to housing.
Right. Well, housing, it sometimes seems to be that, there's an affordable with a big A or affordable with a little a. But really what it comes down to is lifestyle housing, because some young professionals, not married yet, really just do need that apartment, those studio areas. They like to walk to work or be, in the hub of the area, right up through somebody who has an empty nest, needs to not want to mow their lawn anymore, and wants that housing that's a little bit more secure for them, which that 55 plus really does.
Sure, sure. Housing stock needs are changing. People's lifestyles are changing. People want smaller units for the most part. Families are getting smaller. Families are starting later. Got millennials that have their own thoughts on how they want to live and what kind of units they want to live in.
Right.
Don't necessarily need huge units to live in. Don't necessarily want to live in suburban style living or single family detached, which Cape Cod primarily is. So we're trying to change that mix, as much as we can here, because I think increased density is one of the answers to smart growth as far as residential is concerned, but also maybe form-based. That would be something that would be fitting within the Cape Cod look.
There's just so much going on. Where can people get some updates? I know you guys have a website.
Sure, sure. We have a business website called businessbarnstable.com.
Right.
That's our separate website from the town's website. Just makes it a little easier for people if they want to focus on looking for business information, whether that's new projects coming in, whether that's how to open a business here in town. It's a pretty thorough but I think easily navigable website for people to get into.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Well, thanks for having me.
The Barnstable Disability Commission advises and guides the town of Barnstable and the general public regarding issues of accessibility in accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act. We learn more from Commissioners Sabrina Kane and Linda McKinney. We hope you don't park in a handicapped spot, but if you do, that money does go to good use. Joining me today, Disability Commissioners Linda McKinney and Sabrina Kane. You've got some scholarships to talk about, some openings on your commission, but first tell us a little bit about the commission and who you are.
Well, I am Sabrina Kane. I chair the Barnstable Disability Commission, so I'm a commissioner, and I also run the meetings and do scheduling matters for them, and I'm the point person for if you have any questions about the commission.
Excellent. And Linda?
Hi, I'm just a member of the commission. I came on because I'm quite interested in this area, have a bit of a disability, and I'm very excited to be on there because it's a committee or commission that really does good work and we have great meetings.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the work of the commission, Sabrina.
We're an advisory commission to the town, which means that one of our missions is, or one of our purposes is to advise the town council and town government departments, such as the Department of Public Works, about disability compliance. One of the other things that we do is we fund a lot of really great projects which benefit the citizens of the town of Barnstable. And the third thing that we do is we're an information source for citizens in the town who have any questions about resources. We try to connect people to organizations like the Cape Organization for the Rights of the Disabled or the Arc of Cape Cod, things like that.
Excellent. And when we talk about the Disability Commission and some of the work and projects that you do, we're going to talk about the scholarships that you've given out this year, but give me some of those other projects that you've been working on recently.
Well, recently we have been in touch with Capabilities about providing funding to Capabilities for a new fully accessible kitchen project that they have going. Jonathan Spruill is the new CEO of Capability. He has been fabulous. He's working with Davenport to create a kitchen which would give individuals with disabilities an opportunity to really, because it will be fully accessible, to really participate in cooking projects in a way that you normally can't with a non-accessible kitchen. We're very proud of that. We have voted to earmark some funding for them if Capabilities can raise the difference We want them to be able to do some fundraising, but to give them some financial support so that they can complete the project.
That's fantastic. And when we talk about folks that have some either physical or mental challenges, you said that you really wanted to be on this commission. What's the satisfaction of being a member? I know you're looking for new members.
We are.
And we'll tell folks how to do that. But in your own words, how does it make you feel to participate on this commission, Linda?
Well, it means I'm helping everybody feel a participant of the community and also be able to give back to the community and to give back equally. I'm sort of leveling the playing field.
Right.
And I like to do that.
Excellent. So the money from a parking ticket, I understand, is if somebody parks in a handicap spot and gets ticketed,
Right.
this money actually comes back to the town of Barnstable's parking division,
Yes.
and then is used to fund some of your projects. Talk a little bit about the scholarships.
Oh, well, we've recently increased our scholarships to $1,250 to Barnstable students who are graduating from 4 high schools, Barnstable High School, Sturgis, also Project Forward at the community college, and now to Cape Cod Regional. And so we're very pleased to be able to give 6 scholarships this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And these scholarships, are the students with disabilities, or are they in the field of serving folks with disabilities?
They either have to have a documented disability, and most of them are disability students, or have to be committed to working with people with disabilities.
Right. And who are these lucky winners?
Okay, now I've got to get their names out. From Project Forward, we have Julian Smith and Kimberly Walsh. From Sturgis, we have Kyler Sullivan. From Barnstable High, we have George Cole and Tanya Taylor. And from Cape Cod Technical High School, we have Spencer Bulcelli.
Fantastic. So it seems like there's, from all of these different high schools, obviously, that these students, the money's, it's so expensive for college and for, higher education. When students apply for these, is there an essay piece, and how do you determine who gets these scholarships?
We actually use their counseling departments to look at our criteria. They have to be, local folk and meet all the other criteria. And we let them evaluate because they have access to their extracurricular activities and their grades and their recommendations from their instructors. And they do the choosing. And then they send the names to us. And we go through their names just to make sure there are no conflicts with anyone on the committee.
Right.
And that's how they're approved. And sometimes they do the awarding at graduation, and sometimes, like this year at Project Forward, we actually had little certificates made so they could award them at their special dinner.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I do know Julian Smith, who is an absolutely
Oh,
fabulous young man.
Oh, that's good to know.
He and his
That's a happy
dad
coincidence.
are very good friends, and I had worked with capabilities on some projects over the years. But, all of these folks are so deserving of this money. Tell us a little bit, Sabrina, about how people can get involved with the commission.
There are a couple different ways. You could attend a meeting. You could contact Cynthia Lovell and inquire about how to join the commission, which I would encourage anyone to do. You could also write us a letter and schedule a meeting with us outside of regular meeting hours, and then we would report on your comments, especially if for some reason you're not able to attend a meeting, either for accessibility reasons or time reasons. We just want to hear from you. We'd love it if you join us, but public comment is something that we really, really want.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Can I say something
Sure.
about the makeup of the commission? We're all ages,
Okay.
various sexes, men and women, so that's not all just ladies.
Right. It's a pretty good mix.
Yeah, and all kinds of disabled folk and not disabled folk. So we really welcome everybody.
Right, and at the town of Barnstable, all of our towns, committees, commissions, and boards are really relying on citizens and residents to step up to the plate, to join these, to do some of the most important work there is.
Yes.
Anything else you want to tell residents about the commission and how they can basically help you?
We really looked for as much input as we can from members of the public, because a lot of the decisions that we make do impact Barnstable as a town, and there are varying degrees of that. We give advice to the town departments about accessibility issues, but of course they have other professional, the civil engineers and the architects also give input on that, and they're trained in accessibility. So we communicate with them, but we do defer to professional judgment, of course, in that area of our mission and what we do. But when it comes to the projects that we fund and the scholarships that we give out and the amounts, we really, I think especially, that we have a mission to serve the town of Barnstable, and we do our best, but the more input that we can get gives us more to take under advisement, more to talk about. We have very active debates in our group, as Linda will testify, and sometimes voices get raised and sometimes we get a little raucous, but that's because that's part of the democratic process, and that's one of the things that I really, really enjoy about serving on government, because it really gives me a feel, for democracy in action. It's cool.
It really is.
Civics.
How about you, Linda?
Yeah, the good old civics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is, as people look around in the climate of politics nowadays, when you say democracy in action, literally you can affect change at the local level.
Yeah, you can. It's a really exciting thing. You might feel like you can't control things that, are different levels of government and are just, outside your reach, but you could be a member of the BDC.
Excellent. Thank you so much for both coming in this morning.
Thanks for having us.
Up next, things to do, places to go, and people to meet. Citizens Bank Pops by the Sea concert is one of Cape Cod's largest cultural events and the most important fundraising event for the year for the Arts Foundation of Cape Cod. For over 30 years, they have welcomed one of the nation's finest and best-loved musical ensembles, the Boston Pops Esplanade Orchestra, led by conductor Keith Lockhart, to the Hyannis Village Green on Sunday, August 11th. This year's Citizen Bank Pops by the Sea will feature a first in its 34-year history when actor Eric Bergen not only serves as the guest conductor, but also as the guest performer. Best known for his starring role as Blake Moran on CBS's Madam Secretary, Bergen also doubles as a singer, having released 2 singles and regularly performing cabaret-style shows throughout the United States. He'll put his talents to the test in August when he not only conducts the Boston Pops, but sings with them. Comments, suggestions, accolades? Connect with us on Facebook, email us, or send us an old-fashioned note by carrier pigeon. Channel 18 works. For you, I'm Paula Hersey, and thank you for watching Barnstable Today.